He wears the same gray jacket, eats the same $1 steamed buns, walks through flooded streets like just another man of the people. But what if I told you this carefully crafted image of modesty costs more than the lifestyles of most Western billionaires? Because behind that wrinkle-patterned uniform lies a network of hidden villas with Faraday-caged fencing. A $20 million diplomatic tour nobody was allowed to question. Meals scanned in mobile chemical labs before being served. Convoys with body doubles trained to mimic his exact blinking pattern. On paper, Xi Jinping owns nothing. In practice, he lives like a head of state, wrapped in a firewall of secrecy so advanced it makes Silicon Valley look analog. While Jeff Bezos buys mega yachts and Elon Musk launches rockets, Xi doesn't flaunt wealth. He buries it, he encrypts it, he becomes the empire, and then vanishes from the ledger. And yet he's worshipped as a man of restraint. But stay with me, because at minute 12, you'll hear the one truth more expensive than any of this infrastructure. Not what Xi owns, but what he erases. This isn't just the story of a powerful leader. It's the blueprint of a dynasty engineered in silence, protected by AI and disguised as humility. If you think power means being visible, Xi Jinping just might prove you wrong. When Xi Jinping leaves Beijing, it's never a visit, it's an operation. Take his infamous state mission of peace and cooperation. Officially, it was a diplomatic tour. Unofficially, a $20 million disappearing act where the only thing more guarded than the leader was the budget. Before his plane even touched down, the host cities were transformed, not cleaned, rebuilt, sidewalks repaved, entire hotel floors demolished and reconstructed from the ground up. This wasn't hospitality, it was theater. Imported blast doors, flown in from Germany, were installed to create a temporary safe zone. But safety wasn't the point, optics were. His meals flown in daily from Beijing. No local water, no local vegetables. Each ingredient was chemically scanned and guarded by armed personnel before reaching a plate. And that plate budgeted at $5,000 each, prepared by chefs with state-level security clearance. Not for flavor, but for biological certainty behind the scenes. Over 300 personnel moved in sync biometric analysts, satellite jammers, AI-mapped evacuation teams, and at least 2 squads of body doubles trained to mimic Xi's gait, posture, even blinking rate. His motorcade wasn't just armored. It was a mobile fortress of German-made Maybach S600s with built-in oxygen filtration and armor rated for piercing rounds. Not one car was Chinese. From the outside, it looked like a handshake tour. Smiles, flags, diplomacy. But for those behind the velvet rope, it looked like an empire on the move disguised as one man. And no one dared question the cost. Because in this system, power doesn't get audited, it gets repaved, officially. Xi Jinping owns nothing. No mansions, no estates, no vacation retreats. But behind government speak like temporary housing assignments or state-use facilities lies a hidden empire of luxury compounds so secure and invisible. China's own billionaires wouldn't even know where to knock. These aren't listed on property registries. They don't appear on commercial maps because they were never designed to be found. Instead, they're tucked deep inside Beijing's inner sanctum, coastal outposts, and rural red zones surrounded by Faraday-caged fencing, patrolled by state police trained in electronic counter-surveillance. Once inside, it feels less like a home and more like a biosecure command center. Imported Carrara marble lines the floors. Brazilian hardwood panels dull every footstep. And German-engineered air control systems maintain a climate so precise. Even humidity is monitored like a threat. No gold, no glitz. Because in this world, opulence isn't worn, it's embedded. Every bedroom is sealed with biometric locks, infrared tripwires, and acoustic dampening systems designed to block drone-based eavesdropping. Guests, if there are any, must surrender all electronics, even analog watches. Staff rotate every month, not for HR, but to prevent internal familiarity. Loyalty here isn't earned. It's enforced through isolation. Each villa includes encrypted comms hubs, secure command centers, and AI-run perimeter sweeps 24/7. It's not a home, it's a private state within a state where privacy isn't a right. It's a show of dominance. And the funding disguised as rural development or national preservation flowing through state budgets designed to hide the spend before anyone even looks. You don't just live here, you disappear here. On paper, Xi Jinping's net worth is zero. No bank accounts, no properties, no stocks, not even a luxury watch with his name on it. But lift the surface and you'll find one of the most intricate financial fortresses ever engineered. A dynasty without fingerprints. At the center is a web of shell companies in Hong Kong, family trusts in Singapore, and real estate portfolios scattered across Europe. But you won't find Xi's name on any of it. Instead, there's a mosaic of placeholders, former classmates, distant cousins, and long-retired officials whose only real asset is proximity. Among the crown jewels, stakes in rare earth mining operations in southern China industries, essential to the global tech supply chain, generating billions in state-protected revenue, and ownership layered through offshore entities, camouflaged under innocuous names, and rooted into properties in London, Vancouver, and Geneva collectively worth over $1.2 billion. But this family doesn't collect penthouses. They collect silence. Tucked inside private art bunkers in Macau and Beijing are museum-grade Tang Dynasty scrolls, imperial jade relics, and ceramics insured at over 40 million, not decoration. These are untraceable, appreciating assets perfect for moving legacy without leaving a trail. But the true genius, it isn't acquisition, it's insulation. Corruption investigations erupt constantly in China, but around this family, nothing, no charges, no scrutiny, just an algorithm-powered vacuum where exposure never even gets the chance to form. You can't accuse what doesn't exist on paper, and you can't touch what's already absorbed into the infrastructure of the state. This isn't about hiding wealth, it's about redefining what wealth even looks like. He walks through flooded neighborhoods in soaked sneakers, eats steamed buns at flimsy plastic tables, wears the same wrinkled gray jacket at every public appearance. To the world, it screams humility, but in reality it's precision branding. Down to the thread, those jackets, not mass-produced, they're custom-tailored pieces, some reportedly priced on par with luxury labels like Zegna, where a single bespoke suit can cost upwards of $5,000. Even he has famously wrinkled slacks. Not from neglect. They're intentionally designed to project detachment from materialism while silently asserting control over perception. It's not just what he wears, it's what surrounds him invisibly. On diplomatic trips, he avoids luxury hotels, but the buildings transform around him. Entire floors refitted with bulletproof glass, encrypted communications rooms, and Italian marble bathrooms costing more than $2 million per stay. No headlines, no press releases. The aesthetic remains modest, but the receipts tell a different story. And then there's the censorship. Images that shatter this illusion, like memes comparing him to Winnie the Pooh, aren't just blocked. They're systematically erased using AI-powered keyword suppression and image recognition tools. The goal isn't just to prevent ridicule, it's to maintain mythology. Because when a leader's brand is built on discipline and restraint, even a wrinkle becomes a weapon. In a world where wealth draws scrutiny, Xi Jinping's true luxury is invisibility. Not because he lacks power, but because appearing powerless has become his most effective form of control. In most countries, power speaks through speeches. In Xi Jinping's China, power doesn't speak, it sees. Across the country, over 700 million cameras are watching, many equipped with AI, facial recognition, and even expression detection. They don't just record behavior, they predict it. Each camera is a node in a nationwide algorithmic grid built to detect patterns, anomalies, and micro-movements. Smile too long, linger too often. The system doesn't wait for laws to be broken. It flags intention behind the scenes. Behavioral data is pulled into real-time dashboards not to analyze policy effectiveness, but to measure emotional temperature, Local officials are ranked not just by performance, but by how stable the public feels. This isn't governance by feedback. It's governance by forecast. With a few keystrokes, entire neighborhoods can be put under silent observation. Not because someone acted suspiciously, but because the algorithm calculated a statistical risk. Even law enforcement has evolved. Officers now wear smart glasses with facial recognition and infrared scanning. They look like designer eyewear but cost over $10,000 per unit. And the digital net doesn't end on the streets. Online, every user is tied to their real name. Search terms are scored. Content ranked not by engagement, but alignment. Comments don't disappear. They're never shown to begin with. Censorship doesn't shout, it whispers, and eventually it conditions silence. This ecosystem doesn't just observe citizens, it shapes them. What looks like efficiency is control wrapped in convenience. And what seems like a smart state is a predictive machine with no off switch. In Xi's empire, the algorithm is the new authoritarian, and it never sleeps. Most leaders operate within governments. Xi Jinping runs China like a corporation, and he's not just the president. He's the chairman, the CEO, and the chief strategy officer. There are no shareholders, no quarterly earnings calls, no public board to challenge him, just a vertically integrated empire where every ministry functions like a department. Provincial governors act like regional managers, and policies are launched like product updates. No debates, no opposition, just immediate, top-down deployment, and nowhere is this more obvious than in tech. Once global juggernauts like Alibaba, Tencent, and Didi companies that rivaled Silicon Valley were abruptly reorganized. But it wasn't market forces. It was command decisions often triggered by nothing more than a speech deemed too independent or a financial report considered too aggressive. CEOs vanished from public view. IPOs were pulled. Stock values nosedived. It looked chaotic, but it was calculated recalibration. Xi didn't destroy the tech giants. He absorbed them. New regulations rolled in like software patches tightening control, closing loopholes, and redirecting operations to align with state-defined pace now. These platforms still profit, but under algorithms that prioritize national messaging. With moderation baked into the platform architecture itself, freedom of speech still exists, but only within bandwidths the system allows. Efficiency replaces ideology. Loyalty replaces debate. And Xi doesn't pivot based on polls. He doesn't campaign. He doesn't need approval. He dictates long-term vision like a founder protecting a brand. This isn't governance, it's brand management at national scale. In 1995, a little-known provincial official named Xi Jinping arrived in Muscatine, Iowa. He toured farms, slept in a modest guest room, smiled for pictures, a future superpower leader living like an exchange student. For decades, that story was romanticized, proof that Xi was grounded, humble, the man who once admired tractors and cornfields. But in 2012, when he returned this time as vice president, preparing to consolidate total control, it wasn't a reunion. It was a strategic media performance. The house he once stayed in was renovated and rebranded as a friendship site. The town was cleaned, prepped, choreographed. Photo ops were timed to the second. Xi shook old hands, but this time, flanked by a 150-person entourage, armored vehicles, and translators briefed on every potential nuance. This wasn't diplomacy. It was soft power theater engineered for Western cameras. And it worked. Media outlets flooded headlines with nostalgia. Xi returns to where it began. A man who never forgot small-town America, a friend of Iowa. But while the cameras fixated on handshakes, back home, NGOs were being reclassified, foreign research scrutinized, and digital expression tightened. None of that made the Iowa cover to them because the narrative had already been chosen. Xi didn't just control the story in China, he learned how to craft one that appealed to America. This wasn't an accident. It was perception warfare fought with cornfields and memories. In the age of legacy politics, Xi understands control the memory, and you control the meaning. Even a guest room in Iowa can become a geopolitical asset when the myth is stronger than the facts. While Western billionaires flaunt their wealth, Xi Jinping perfected the opposite power without exposure. Just look at Elon Musk. He travels in a private jet tracked by fans in real time. His 50,000 tiny house became a meme, and his every tweet can move global markets. He's loud, he's visible, he's audited by the public every single day. Now compare that to Xi. No jet tracking, no Twitter, no disclosures. His movements are invisible by design. Hotels transform before he arrives. Routes are classified. Not a single local brand touches his motorcade. Where Musk posts photos inside a rocket, Xi moves without a shadow. One builds identity through exposure, the other through erasure. Both command influence, both control infrastructure, but only one has to justify his wealth to shareholders, regulators, and voters. Xi doesn't, because in his model, the state is the shareholder, the party is the regulator, and voters, they don't vote. In this moment, you have to ask, is visibility the price of democracy, or is invisibility the ultimate form of control? One wears luxury on his sleeve. The other buries it beneath marble floors and algorithmic silence. So the question isn't who's richer. The question is who's freer. This world sees a modest man in a gray coat. But behind the fabric lies a state-engineered illusion stitched together with biometric locks, encrypted vaults, and untraceable wealth. Xi Jinping doesn't just live in power, he lives beyond it. There are no audits, no terms, no transparency. Because in his architecture of rule, the absence of proof isn't a flaw, it's the foundation. His residences don't have addresses, his empire doesn't sign receipts, and his wealth, it's not counted, it's constructed. He doesn't own the system, he is the system. And maybe that's the ultimate luxury in the modern world, not being seen, but being untouchable. So now you tell us, is this the face of restraint or the most expensive performance of control ever staged? Comment below. Humility or a hologram? And if you thought this was the limit of hidden power, just wait till you see how North Korea's Kim dynasty plays the same game, only darker.